Evening. I'm Mark Martin. Those calls come as America awaits a verdict in the murder trial of abortionist Kermit Gosnell. His Philadelphia clinic went uninspected by Pennsylvania for 17 years. Most of the babies killed in Gosnell's clinic were blacks and minorities. As Paul Strand explains in tonight's top story, some pro-lifers say this is part of a widespread targeting of minorities that stretches over decades.
Late-term abortions kill babies while part of them is still in the birth canal. Kermit Gosnell's clinic allegedly sometimes dispensed with that, delivering the babies, then killing them. The documentary 3801 Lancaster put a spotlight on this.
They would then take scissors and place them at the base of the skull and snip or sever the spinal cord of those children that were born alive.
There was one baby that when it was born, one of the workers was playing with it for several minutes before the worker did exactly what Dr. Gosnell did, snipped the back of the neck.
Pro-life leaders point out most of the babies killed in Gosnell's clinic were minority children, one small part of what many see as a deliberate targeting.
Abortion facilities are purposefully placed in inner cities and minority neighborhoods to crush the bodies of innocent black children.
Pro-life lobbyist Marjorie Dannenfelser says some of those abortionists believe
there are certain members of society that are expendable, that really part of humanity is really just underbrush, to be just kind of swept out because there's not really all that useful.
70% of all abortion facilities are located in the black and minority communities around this country.
Abortion is the #1 killer of African Americans, killing more black people than all other deaths combined.
Pennsylvanian pro-lifer Michael Geer hopes black leaders will begin to cry out.
Groups like Planned Parenthood have a history of targeting minorities and African Americans, and we need to rethink abortion as being good, as some people in that community might think, that it's actually harmful and terrible for their community.
When you are truly targeted by abortionists, when because of the color of your skin there's an assumption that there should be fewer of you, that hurts. It should hurt, and we should react. And even if we're not in those minority communities, we ought to react and say that is absolutely unacceptable.
Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.
Amen to that. Well, Kristen Hawkins with Students for Life joins us now with more on this. Kristen, the Gosnell trial is bringing many things out in the open, including the fact that minorities are targeted by the abortion industry. But this is no surprise to you, is it?
No, it's not. And actually, a new study that came out that said that 62% of Planned Parenthood abortion facilities are located within walking distance, 2 miles of high black and African American neighborhoods, and 79% when you add in Latino neighborhoods.
Wow. Well, is this going to serve as a wake-up call to the black community, to the Latino community?
We're certainly hoping it is, and this is a talking point we've been using for years, and bringing folks like Day Gardner to the forefront, having African American leaders going into their churches and talking about abortion as an issue, because it's quite frankly it's not an issue that's been talked about enough in the African American community. And the fact is, African Americans have abortions at 3.4 times higher than white Americans. So 30% of all abortions in America are performed in African American women, when only 12.5% of our U.S. population are African Americans. It's disproportionate, and you know where they're advertising.
Hearing that testimony in that documentary of where that nurse was playing with the baby and then the baby was actually killed after that, it's so disturbing. Do you think as people learn more about the horrific things that allegedly went on in the clinic, that their minds are going to be changed about abortion?
Sure, I definitely think this trial is going to be one of the final nails. When we look back at the history of abortion and how abortion was ended in America, they're going to look at this as one of the final nails in the abortion industry's coffin. Because what was really interesting that came out during this trial is Kermit Gosnell is black, yet he had separate waiting rooms for black and Hispanic women and white women. And it was really interesting during the trial, it came out, the defense was saying, oh, going after Kermit Gosnell is racist. But really, Gosnell was the racist, and that's what he was practicing, was racism.
Wow, this is so disturbing, but thank you for shedding light on all of this for us. Kristen Hawkins with Students for Life, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.